Hey guys, what's going on? Jake here, and welcome back to another episode of the F124 Driver Career Mode here today for the Belgian Grand Prix. Now, as always, going to give another recap of the last episode, my home race, the British Grand Prix. Basically, there was a catalogue of errors which led to me finishing last of all the finishers, P18, with an incident on the final lap. I had a time penalty, slow pit stop, poor strategy, and overall, it was a disaster of a race. But we're going to look to make it right today in Spa, which is normally a very good track for me. On the F1 games, I'm normally quite competitive there. So I'm hoping today for a good finish and some positive points. We're not going to change it from 101 AI because there's tracks that I'll be bad at on 101 and there'll be tracks that I'm really good at 101. And it's kind of realistic at that place and at that point. So, here we are now in practice, obviously looking to get some R&D points. Right now on the R&D, we're slightly behind Aston Martin. We're actually cooking a little bit, I'd say. So, you know what, it's not too shabby. Yep, lost a bit of concentration there. Ignore me. So, this episode is... I don't even know. Like, how do I even describe this episode in words? It's just... It's crazy, man. Like, honestly, it's such a good episode. So, I'm kind of looking forward to getting into the important parts of the episode, which are qualifying and the actual race itself. So we are actually getting 390 points now instead of 300 because we have increased our experience to the point where we can now earn more R&D points in practice, which is good. Which will help our rate of development more and more. Exceeding track limits there on our first lap in Q1. Did I feel a little bit? I felt a little bit cocky, so I went out on a set of mediums to try and get through Q1. Coming up to the line, we end up setting a 1:45.1, which, you know, 9 tenths off Verstappen. I wasn't confident with that. And by the end of the session, we're down into P12. But with a purple first sector currently 6.5 tenths up on that best lap. Can we set a green middle sector? Yes, because obviously we're never going to set a purple middle sector because, you know, the AI are so good through the middle sector. Despite the fact on this game that their straight line speed's really good. I think it's mainly the slipstream and DRS that they've got that's really overpowered compared to us. So, here we go. We did exceed track limits there, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. We're coming up now to the final corner. We lost time by doing that, but here we are. We ride that curve maybe a little bit too much, and the only reason we gained time is because we were on softs and we set a 44.1, something like that. But it's P2 in that session, a 1:44.3, and we get P2 in that session, a 10.5 off Max Verstappen. So let's get into Q2. As I said, I am going to have pace around this track. I mean, I'm keeping on 101 for every track this season. This is what we can expect. Next season, I might put it to 105, especially if we upgrade teams. So, you know, gonna have to wait and see. But here we come now, round the final corner. Oh, a little bit of a slide there, but up to the line, we're going to set a 1:44.3 again, which is basically on the same set of tyres, the same that we did in Q1. But now we're already up by 5 tenths on a fresh set of tyres towards the end of Q2. We are safe. All the drivers have crossed the line and we are through in P6. But we may as well go out on more fresh tyres because essentially it literally doesn't matter because the AI, well, the game's weird and it doesn't give you a fresh set of softs for the race no matter what. So that's brilliant. Unlike last game where you could save a set, you can't on this game. And we're not going to be running softs today anyway. This is Spa. We ain't in we ain't in a Spa. We're in Spa. So can't really be taking the risk of running soft tyres unless, you know, the mediums do us madness. And as you can see there, we set the fastest lap of the session. But I'm not that excited. The crazy part is that we did it by 4.5 tenths over Max Verstappen and a 1:43.5. No, it wasn't even Max Verstappen, it was Carlos Sainz. So maybe Max Verstappen not showing his full hand there. He almost got knocked out, to be fair. A second off me. He must have been sandbagging heavily in that session, or he must have had some technical issues. But let's see if he can fix them now. We've got 2 fresh sets of softs to try get pole position. But as you can see there, we have a really poor run through the middle sector, towards the back end of the middle sector. Max Verstappen sets a 1:43.3. I set a 1:43.5 in the last session. Max Verstappen has already beaten my time from the last session. This guy is absolutely ridiculous. And we made a mistake in the middle sector, so I don't think this lap will be able to challenge him. 1:43.3 was the lap. There were mistakes in this lap. There was a bit of time to find in this lap. So let's see what we can do. We're going to set a 1:43.4, a 10.5 off Max Verstappen. But by the time we go for our final lap, the rain was meant to come towards the end of this lap, I was hoping. But it came a minute or so earlier. which meant that by the time we got round to do our lap, by doing the flying lap instead of doing it myself, the warm-up, it was now raining, and we'd already lost so much time. I decided to try full send it, but we get stuck on that curb, and we damage our front wing. So that's going to be qualifying over, and Max Verstappen gets saved by the rain in Spa, and is going to get pole by a 10th. You lucky, lucky boy, Max Verstappen. You lucky, lucky boy. But that does us wonders in our driver ratings. We now have almost got 76 pace, which, honestly, I'd say is kind of realistic. But here we go for the Grand Prix. We're going to be starting, well, Hulkenberg's going to be starting P16, setting a 1:45.4. We set a 1:43.4, a full 2 seconds quicker than Nico Hulkenberg. I mean, I don't even know what AI would make it realistic to get me close to Hulkenberg. Maybe 110 is needed, but we're going to be starting P2. Verstappen did not take grid penalties like he did in real life. I changed a component or two, well, a few components for this race to try get extra straight line speed. So let's see what damage we can do. A simple medium hard strategy today. We don't want to be risking the tyres by going softs, but a lot of the drivers around us will be going for the soft tyres. So we're going to need a good grid slot. Actually, that's a lie. A lot of the drivers behind the top 5 are going to be going for the soft tyres. Russell is the only man inside of the top 5 on the softs. So let's see what we can do. We get a 0.1 grid slot, which is absolutely superb. It means we're going to get the best chance of the start. 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. And it is lights out. And away we go. We get a decent little first getaway. But here comes George Russell now on the soft tyres, down the inside of both myself, and he sends it on Max Verstappen. We're 3 wide into turn 1. We're going to give them the space. George Russell and Max Verstappen are side by side. There was a little bit of a collision behind us, but luckily no wing damage from any driver. Here we come now, up Eau Rouge and Radion. If we can get a good exit and these two compromise themselves, we could be up into turn 1. Here we go. We've not used our ERS just yet. We used it to get a good exit. But here we come now. Through comes the iceberg on the round the outside of Max Verstappen and George Russell. We might be taking the lead of the Grand Prix here. We go round the outside of Max Verstappen and take the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix. Oh my word, absolutely superb stuff there from the Iceman, as he's so called by the F1 commentators. But we come now to the end of lap 1 onto lap 2. We get a poor exit out of the chicane, and here comes Max Verstappen. Down the inside he comes into turn 1. We're going to give him the position. DRS is enabled. We're going to look to maybe repass Verstappen after Eau Rouge and Radion onto the Camel Straight. Can we do it? We've got George Russell though quite close behind us because we compromised our first corner to let Verstappen through and try not to lose him any time to, you know, cause any incidents. But here we come now on Max Verstappen on the Camel Straight. We've got DRS. We're not even using ERS, but here we go. If anything, we're saving ERS on this straight. We're going to use a little bit at the end of the straight just to burst past Verstappen, and round the outside we go to retake the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix here at Spa-Francorchamps. And we are back again in the lead, but it's not going to last for long. At the end of lap 3 onto lap 4, Verstappen is still right behind us, under 2 tenths behind. And this time we actually get an okay exit from the chicane, but it's still not enough. And here comes Max Verstappen. He's going to look down our inside once again. We're going to look for the switch back on Verstappen. We made contact with the wall. A silly mistake from me. Verstappen's going to run away, but it looks like there's no damage. We're going to check with the team, but the radio's glitched, but it looks like we've got no damage, so I'm hoping we don't. And by the time we're on lap 7, we are now just sticking with Max Verstappen. Russell's sticking with us, and we're in a little train for the lead here, the lead cars. And now on to the end of lap 7, Verstappen decided to kick on and lose me from DRS because of a poor middle sector. So we are now going to be under pressure from George Russell on the softs and Lando Norris and Sergio Perez on mediums. Running a little bit wide there at the final chicane. George Russell's going to look round our outside. We're going to try squeeze him, but he's not going to allow it. We're going to try squeeze him into turn 1. We just about do. Maybe we should have let him by us. He's going to have a good chance now up Eau Rouge and Radion and onto the Camel Straight to take P2 off me in this Grand Prix. Verstappen now is gone. We cannot get Verstappen. And we just decided not to turn up Eau Rouge and Radion, and that's given us a compromised exit. Here comes George Russell. Are we going to use ERS to defend? Are we going to use ERS to defend? It's a very good question. No, we're not, and George Russell sails by. Lando Norris does not follow him, and we are now dropped down into P3, and George Russell takes P2 in this Grand Prix. We're looking maybe for an exit, a good exit somewhere, but it's not going to happen, and we're going to have to wait up until lap 9 to get a chance to re-overtake George Russell. And here we are once again, following a car up Eau Rouge and Radion onto the Kemmel Straight, looking for a re-overtake. This strategy has worked very well so far in this Grand Prix. We have got 93% ERS, so this move will be happening no matter what. We use the ERS to get a good exit, a total of 10%, and here we are now, closing in on George Russell, even before the DRS, but now we're gaining at a rate of knots on George Russell. He's going to defend the inside, we're going to go to the outside, using the ERS, and round the outside, a very simple move on Russell, back into P2. He has a little look, but it's too last, and we're just going to turn in there, because if he makes contact, it's his fault, not ours. But there we are now, up into P2 once again, and we're on to lap 10, and the cars behind us have started battling. Maybe the softs of George have gone off, and we are now in a good position. We now have gaps to everyone around us, and we are being told that we need to overtake Verstappen before lap 15. Even with all that battling, we didn't really lose much time to Verstappen, but 1.8 seconds is ridiculous, Mark. It's a stupid goal. But it comes to the end of lap 10, and we are now, still with that goal of overtaking Verstappen, going to box in off our medium compounder tyres and go on a fresh set of hards. So let's go into the box. A lot of cars are pitting with me. I thought I'd be getting an undercut, but we will be at least on Max Verstappen. And hopefully, because this lap's super long, it'll mean we gain more time on an undercut than normal. That's how it works in real life anyway, so I'm hoping it'll be the same in the game. Let's hope for a good stop. If there's a mistake, we could be losing positions here. 2.4 is not bad, we will take that, and we come out ahead once again of all the cars that were once behind us. We're going to come out around about where our teammate is, which isn't too bad. But by the end of that lap, we had cleared our teammate. He didn't end up overtaking us, and in the end, him and Zhou Guanyu were holding up those quick cars behind, giving me a gap now to potentially have a chance at Verstappen, but I'm not exactly sure. Potentially the cars that stayed out of lap will be the ones benefiting here, because Hulkenberg and Zhou Guanyu have done an incredible job of holding up Russell and drivers like that. But it's currently Perez in the lead, still on his original set of mediums. Where is Max Verstappen going to come out on a set of hards just ahead of me? It's 1.6. No, we made about 4 tenths. No, 5 tenths. We made about 5 tenths on the undercut. Another 5 and we would have been in his DRS, but unfortunately did not happen that way. But on to lap 13 now, Verstappen has started pulling away. He's got really good pace. Russell's only 2 seconds behind us. He's closing in on us. Fastest lap. He's got really good pace. And it looks inevitable that he is going to re-overtake us until George Russell, as you can probably read on the bottom there, he's got now a mechanical issue. He'd closed into 1.7 seconds away. And only a few laps later, he dropped back to 4.5 seconds. But we kept the gap the same to Verstappen. We kept the gap the same to Verstappen. Every few laps, we would close in, fall back, close in, fall back. But by lap 20, our tyres had kind of died off a little bit. Verstappen was still pushing on at a really good pace, and now Verstappen had eked the gap out by another 7 tenths over those couple of laps to now be 2.5 seconds. And Perez also had car issues at some point in this race, along with George Russell. So, yeah, this next thing is going to be a bit of a surprise. But yeah, it's going to be yellow flags, actually, which means it must be for Russell or Perez, right? It's Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen is out of the Belgian Grand Prix! I can't believe it! Max Verstappen is out of the Belgian Grand Prix! He retired due to a mechanical failure! We took the lead of the race, and by lap 22 we pulled out even more of a gap over Leclerc. We now look like we've dominated this Belgian Grand Prix in a Haas on 101 AI. That was not the case. Verstappen would have won this race comfortably, and we would have comfortably got P2. But Verstappen has mechanically retired from the race. And coming around the final corner now, in real life there are 115 Grand Prix winners. Before this season started there were 112. We are now on to 113. I am the 113th winner in Formula 1. The 26th different British Grand Prix winner. What a result. What an unexpected, fantastic result.
Oh, superb driving. That is the race win, my friend. Well done.
What a great race then, and a magnificent victory here at the Belgian Grand Prix.
Well, they showed true grit out there today, Crofty. A steely and not to be done by the rough circumstances. Many points that came their way today. A job well done. Not the easiest of days, but they walk away with a race victory.
The quality and fantastic result of the Haas team will have been noticed by everybody else out there today. You can see why everyone's taking them so seriously. Drivers will be hot property by the end of the season.
Lads, I can't believe it. We've just won a Grand Prix in Season 1 at Spa, of all places. On a game where straight line speed for the AI is overpowered, we have won a Grand Prix, legitimately. I knew the AI wasn't good enough on this game, and I didn't want to increase it every other race and stuff. I wanted to keep it somewhere consistent. I know we will, in the future, struggle to even get points at some tracks, but this is a great foundation until we get to the uncertain part of the season. We've now re-overtaken Aston Martin, we've overtaken a few cars and the drivers, and this has done wonders for our driver rating. As you can see now, we're up to almost 74 rating, increasing in pace, awareness, racecraft and focus massively. What a result that is, and a race win in a Haas, rightly so, earns you a secret meeting, along with some good upgrades going through there, being an aero and a ERS upgrade, which is going to be very helpful. Let's see who these talks are with. Aston Martin! Oh my! Now that is a big jump up from our last secret meeting. Aston Martin! And I sat there deliberating it. But in the long run, Aston Martin have got a higher ceiling for performance. We could replace Lance Stroll or a retiring Fernando Alonso. And think about it like this. If we could do what we did with Haas, with Aston Martin in terms of development, we could shoot Aston Martin to be one of the best cars on the grid. On the grid? Am I 5? On the grid. So we're going to continue talks with Aston Martin. Haas aren't going to be able to do anything about it. We're a Grand Prix winner. Aston Martin aren't Grand Prix winners. They want me. And you know what? I don't blame them. If we get into that Aston Martin next season, as you can see, look, we are just behind Aston Martin on the development, so it might seem like a bad idea, but our ceiling for development and our facilities are not going to be as good as Aston Martin's, and I can tell you that for a fact. And Aston Martin are going to be able to offer me more money for my career, because obviously Daddy Stroll, he's going to be paying me buckets of money, so you never know. If Fernando Alonso doesn't retire, me and Fernando Alonso sounds like an incredible driver combination, but as you can see, we have the best powertrain, we have about a middle chassis now, we have decent durability, but we have a really bad aero, so that's where we're going to have to pay our focus to next. But what an incredibly insane Grand Prix. You know, we had incredible pace in qualifying, Verstappen got saved by the rain, didn't take grid components, and then we just won the race by 7 seconds because he retired with 3 laps to go. Crazy stuff. It's mental, it really is. But that's going to be all for this episode. Next time out, we do have the Dutch Grand Prix. And once again, especially in qualifying when I hook up a lap, I'm top 1,000 in the world at Zandvoort. And I know the leaderboard's reset recently, but I'm in the top 20%. I feel like I should have a good chance of, on 101 AI anyway, getting pole. And I've done some practice races, and we have some okay pace in the race as well, as long as I focus. So, I have a good feeling about the Dutch Grand Prix. So let's see if we can stop Max Verstappen.